everyone, welcome back to my channel, Lovelies. Today I am doing a VR. This is an oldie but a goodie. I'm pretty sure it was first created by Katey Flowers, and it is the VR hashtag only 10 decks. And I'm pretty sure that the premise of this prompt is, if I could only have 10 decks in my collection, only 10 and no more than that, which 10 would I choose? So I'm going to go ahead and jump right on in here. The first deck that I could never ever live without is my Lovelies Tarot. Now this is the mass market edition. I did edge it in green myself. It looks pretty awful now though because of so much use and wear and tear. But this deck, I would have to say, if I did have a soul deck, this would be it. This is the one I could not imagine ever going without. From the second I saw the images, I knew I had to have it. I was drawn to the artwork, and then I got it in my hands and I looked through all the cards and I read spreads with it, and I just instantly connected to this deck. I felt bonded to it extremely closely. And over the years of using it, that bond has just continued to deepen and to grow. It reads for me extremely well. I love the imagery, I love the color, I love the vibrancy, I love the expressions on their faces, I love the clothes that they wear, I love how the cards are depicted. I love the bohemian, you know, kind of free-spirited hippie style vibe it gives off. It makes me happy to look at. And this is actually the only deck that I keep in a special little bag right beside my bed, and it sleeps beside me every night. I love it. It's very special to me. It's very well worn. I know that this is a very popular deck, and you know, a lot of people love it, some people hate it, whatever they have their reasons for. I for one could never go without it. I can look at these cards and I can literally feel the energy. Like, I feel the grief, I feel the worry. I can put myself in that card because it's just drawn so exquisitely well that you can feel the emotion coming off the characters in it. It is definitely one of my favorite. Like this right here, the Three of Swords, I can literally feel her heartache. I can feel her anguish. I have been in places where I have felt such heart-wrenching, agonizing emotional pain or mental pain or physical pain, any pain for that matter, that I have just wanted to scream at the top of my lungs about it. Like, I can feel that card. But anyway, this is one that I can never ever part with. It will always stay with me forever and ever. And that is the Lovelies Tarot. And the second one that I could never live without, if you have been on my channel before, you probably are expecting this, is the Little Wizard's Tarot by Push Kitty. Now, this tarot deck does not come with a guidebook, but I do not need one. It is based on the RWS system. I love the purple gilding. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but there's actual specks of glitter in the gilding. Anyway, it's like a very matte cardstock. But it's like a velvety, like rose petal finish type matte. Can be a little bit tricky to shuffle with, but I love the deck so much that I overlook that. It doesn't bother me as much as it would possibly another deck. This deck is my inner child deck. This is my happy nostalgia, you know, I'm having a bad day, I need to cheer up, I need to connect to my inner child kind of deck. I have been a Harry Potter fan since 4th grade. I was 9 or 10 years old when I read the first Harry Potter book. I have been obsessed ever since. I will be a Harry Potter fan for the rest of my life. This deck puts me in that space. I know all the characters, I know all the scenes, I can recognize them from the movies, I know what's happening from the book. I can connect the cards with the characters in the storyline, so it makes it just that much easier for me to read. I think that this deck was done exquisitely well. I like how she chose the scenes and the characters for the particular cards. I feel like she did an excellent choice for those. I love reading with it. It's not what I would call a gentle deck. It does know how to pull its punches. It does know how to tell me the truth. However, it does it like you would a child. I feel like this deck tells me what I need to know as if it was speaking to a child, in a way that the child is taught a lesson, told the truth, not sugar-coated, tough love, but not overly harsh as to traumatize you. So no, I wouldn't call it a gentle deck. I wouldn't call it an overly harsh deck either. But this is a good mood deck for me also. Like if I am having a bad day and I just want to cheer up, I will use this deck. If I'm wanting to be playful, I will use this deck. This deck is 1000% safe in my collection. It will never, ever, ever, ever leave. And that's the Little Wizard's Tarot by Push Kitty. All right, the third deck in my collection that I don't think I could ever part with is the Victorian Romantic Tarot. Now, the Victorian Romantic Tarot by Lovelies Studios is the only deck I have from them. And I adore this deck because I love this type of artwork. I love this art style. I don't know if you can see the reflecting. I love the cold foil stamping in the cards. It just adds another dimension to its beauty. But this style of artwork just draws me in. I've always loved art. I took art for 3 years in high school. I was going to be an art teacher at some point. When I was younger, I love to draw, I love to paint, I love to sculpt, anything creative. So I just love this. It draws me in. I like the cards that they picked, the paintings that they picked for the cards. I feel like they did an excellent job doing so. I'll try to show some of that flash. It's absolutely stunning. But I can read with this deck very well. I don't need the guidebook to read the deck because, like I said, I feel like they chose the artwork to fit the card very well. However, the guidebook that I got extra to go with it, alongside it, is fascinating. It goes into more detail about the particular artwork that they chose for each card. There are also extra cards in this deck. I think there's 2 Emperors, 2 Devils, and 2 Lovers. And I mean, this is probably my most expensive deck, actually, and definitely my most coveted. It has a very special place of honor, and it's a very fancy little box on my shelf of decks. So I mean, it's look at that strength card though. It's absolutely gorgeous. It has one of my favorite Empress cards ever. Here she is. That is just absolutely amazing. Anyway, this deck makes me happy. It takes me to that artsy, creative, historical Victorian era type of place. And sometimes I just crave that. I like the modern artworks and the modern styles for decks. I do. But sometimes I just want a deck that takes me back, you know, that gives me that extra decadence. Because I do. I feel like this deck is decadent. This deck is rich. And so it is also incredibly safe in my collection. And that's the Victorian Romantic Tarot. Now, the next deck that I couldn't possibly live without, since I've had it in my collection, is my Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle. Now, this is a deck made by Ruin Vervain. Look at those backs. It is stunning. It is breathtaking. It is vibrant. It is meant to be a shadow work deck. And I've had several shadow work decks, but this is by far the most cherished of mine. It has given me the most profound readings, the most healing readings. It's not a gentle deck. not overly harsh, but this deck makes you think about things you don't want to think about. It makes you look into those deep, deep dark places of yourself you don't want to acknowledge. But it's also so healing. It is so healing. I remember when I first unboxed this, because I had backed it as a Kickstarter, and I was just flipping through the cards like I am now, and I got to one card in particular, and the second my eyes looked at it, I literally started bawling. Like, I was crying, and I couldn't even tell you why I was crying. I just had a visceral, emotional, intense reaction to it. And it was this one right here, The Third Eye Blind, Ignoring Intuition and Self-Doubt. And after some work and some, looking it up in the guidebook and sitting and thinking with it and meditating on it, I realized it hit me so strong because I have struggled with that my entire life. I have struggled with self-doubt my entire life. I have ignored my intuition my entire life because of how I was raised, and shamed, and all this other stuff that I'm not going to get into right now, but I've always ignored my intuition, and it's cost me dearly. And so when I laid eyes on this card, I just bawled, and I knew then it was going to be interesting to work with. But I get readings from this deck, and it has helped me heal in so many ways. It's beautiful. It's powerful. The colors are stunning. It's a gem to work with. I've I've only had this for a few months, but I've used it so much. I don't know if you can see. It's starting to, like, the protective film on the cards. I don't know if you can see it. It's starting to come up in some places on the cards. See, where I have used the absolute crap out of it, but I do have a second copy of it. So that makes me feel better. All right, the next one that I couldn't go without is the Tarot of Mystical Moments by Katrin Weltstein. This deck I was obsessed with for a long, long time. It's different type of art. It's more abstract, makes you think. There's a lot of symbolism that can be gotten from it. If you look at the images and you sit and think about it, it reminds me a lot of the Dreamkeeper's Tarot, where you can look at it like 10 different times, like the same card, and every time you look at it, you'll get a different meaning. Because, one reading you might notice one thing in the card, and then you get that card in a different reading and you're like, oh, well, I'm noticing this now. I didn't notice that last time. And it just adds more depth to my readings, and I love how it speaks to me. I use this for all kinds of readings: personal readings, readings for other people, readings about family, any type of reading I've put it up against. It holds its own beautifully. I love the intuitive hits I get on this. I love this card. I just love this. The messages I get from these are amazing. I do occasionally look at the guidebook just to get some added depth to my readings, but I love to use this as an intuitive deck. And that's very simple for me to do because, like I said, the artwork just draws me in, and it's the kind of artwork that the symbols in it, the people, the things that they used in the art, the way it's portrayed, the things that are happening, like all these eyes on her back, like, I love it. It's easy for me to read intuitively with this, and I love how it also gives female options for the emperors and the kings as well in this deck. Some people they'll pick either the male or the female version and take out the other, but I like to leave them all in, and I like to do that because I feel like there's a different energy that you get from the male or the female, and so I consider that male or female energy in my reading when I get one of those cards, depending on which one it is. But it's stunning, it's different. Some of the cards are disturbing, some of them make you slightly uncomfortable, some of them are funny, but I mean, I love them. I love it, love it, love it. And this deck is also safe in my collection. And the next deck that is definitely safe in my collection is the Tarot of Oneness. I've only had this one a few months too, but I've already gotten so close to it and bonded so well with it that I'm never getting rid of it. It is absolutely gorgeous. This is by Robin Voicey, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's beautiful. It's vibrant. This Nine of Swords, though. I mean, I love how it puts you in the perspective like you're in the card. You are there living that moment. You are in it. And there's lots of animals in this deck too, so I like to pair it with animal oracles and stuff. But I love the animal energy in it. And I love how even when, like right here, even if it's an animal card, you can see you are the mother elephant. That's your mother elephant trunk reaching out to the baby. Like, it puts you in the energy of that animal in that card, and I just love it. I love it all to pieces. It speaks to me on a deep level. I'd say that this one comes pretty darn close as meaning as much to me as my Light Seers Tarot. And like I said, that one, if I had a soul deck, would be considered my soul deck. So that's really high praise for this deck because no other deck has come close to matching up to the Light Seers. But I'd have to say this one's right up there, like pretty close. I absolutely adore this Six of Cups. This is probably one of my favorite Six of Cups ever created in any deck I've ever had. But the artwork is great. The readings are fantastic. I do not use this deck to read for other people because of the intimate viewpoint where it puts you in the card. It feels more like a personal deck, and that's how I use it. I use it for myself when I need to make readings for myself, when I'm having trouble understanding something with myself, when I'm not seeing something, I reach for this deck. It puts me in that mindset on focusing on myself and really trying to get to the heart of the matter. And this deck is amazing. It has never failed me in a reading. Every reading I've ever done with it has resonated, and I will never, ever, ever get rid of this either. The next deck that I would pick to have in my collection, if I can only have 10 decks, is the Spirit Animal Oracle. And I did edge this in yellow myself to match the backs. It's faded a bit though because I use this a lot. This deck is the very first animal oracle that I got. I love the bohemian type feel of it with the animals. That just really draws me in. The colors draw me in. The messages on it, the little messages are short, they're sweet, they're to the point. It's not complicated, it's pretty easy. However, the guidebook is very good. I love the guidebook, but this is a deck that I can just draw a card. And like with my daily tarot card, I'll draw this maybe like for some advice or something I need to know about my day, or you know how the energy of the day is going, and I'll just draw this card and I'll sit it there with my daily tarot card, or I'll use it in readings sometimes. But I love this for multi-purpose uses. It's an all-around good oracle for me. Now, I know some people might not agree with me, but that's okay, to each their own. But for me, this is an all-around kind of oracle. I use it for all kinds of different things. I have even used it in shadow work a couple of times, and it added a different type of element to my work. But I love the messages. I love those otters. I love this deck. This is one of my favorites. I reach for it all the time. It pairs well with a lot of my decks. I love the artwork. I love bees. But this is a deck that I could never bring myself to get rid of, ever. All right. The next deck that I could never ever live without is my Deviant Moon Borderless Edition by Patrick Malenza. This deck was my first shadow work deck, and it kicked my ass all over the place. It is not gentle, at least not in my experience. This deck makes me uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. And I know that sounds weird, that I would want to keep a deck or adore a deck as much as I do adore this one, when it makes me uncomfortable. But I like that it makes me uncomfortable, because shadow work's not supposed to be comfortable, or it wouldn't be called shadow work. I like that the cards are disturbing. I like that the creatures are kind of terrifying in some pictures. I like that they are disturbingly nightmarish. They are shaped weird. They're colored weird. It looks like something out of a nightmare. And I love how it puts me in that space of, well, now I'm really uncomfortable, or I really don't like this, or I really don't want to look into this, because that is the space where I personally work best with some of my harshest, most difficult shadow work sessions that I need to do, because the worst things, the things that I don't want to face, the things that I need to work on the most are dark, are uncomfortable, are painful, are nightmarish. And so this deck really connects with me on that level. It takes me to that part of myself that I don't want to look at, that I want to hide from. But this deck gives me no choice when I use it but to face it. And I love that about it, because I need that healing. I need that truth. You know, I need to face it and not shy away from it. And this deck does not let me shy away from it at all. And because of that, I have healed from some pretty traumatic things. I have a long way to go. I'm nowhere near done, not even by a long shot. But because of how this deck has helped me, I know without a doubt that as uncomfortable as it makes me, I could never go without it. Now, the next deck is the Journey of the Sacred Bee by Kelly Burton. Now, this deck is in order at the moment because I am in the middle of a deep dive study of her Sacred Bee trilogy. This deck is one of my newest decks to my collection. Just going to be upfront about that. But already, I know that if I had to only keep 10 decks, this would have to be in there. And I have a lot of decks. I have probably 75, 76, something like that, decks, with more on the way. I do collect them. I try to use all of my decks, though. I put them in a steady rotation. However, I'll put them this way so I'll keep them in order. This deck drew me in from the moment I discovered it. I love all the colors. I love the digital mixed media art style, how it's kind of collagey, how it uses kind of like photographs with art. I love that it's based on bees. I've had an affinity for bees. I love bees. And so I was like, oh yes, this definitely needs to be mine. I like how it has other elements to it too, like the Hebrew symbols, which helps me learn about that. And then it also has astrological symbols like planets and zodiac signs and elements and this and that and the other in it. And that's helping me learn about those things. The guidebook is pretty good about that, and it's helping me to study. So this is kind of a study deck for me also. I like the imagery, the way that they mesh things together. This is a deck that makes me sit and think. This is not a deck that I look at a card or a spread that I've done and I immediately know what they're saying. We're still getting to know each other. Like I said, this is one of my newest decks. However, because this makes me sit and think on it, and sometimes I have to sit and actually meditate with a card or cards to really dive deep into what this message means to me on an intuitive level. It's like it's exercising my intuition, because I have to sit and I have to think and I have to look at all the imagery and all the symbolism and try to figure out, what is this telling me? What does this mean to me in relation to the meaning of a traditional tarot card? And again, with the astrological symbols and whatnot in it, it does help me to study that. And so I like that, because it's not only letting me learn these, I'm also looking it up and seeing how it connects to that card. So it's bringing more depth to my readings when I do read with this, because it's adding another element. It's adding another layer to my readings. It's absolutely stunning. I love all the color. I love all the strangeness. I love this imagery. And I love how there's bees in all the cards, not gonna lie. So even though I have had this deck such a short time, it is one of my most interesting decks, and I love how it puts my brain to work, how it exercises my intuition, how it's teaching me things that I have not learned already from other tarot decks. And so because of that, I could not go without this deck. Now, the last deck that I could not live without is the Whispers of the Ocean Oracle by Angela Hartfield. Now, this deck is an oracle deck. It is absolutely stunning. I love the color. I'm big on color, y'all, if you haven't noticed yet. I love the vibrancy. I love that it's ocean animals. I love that there are keywords, but I love that it also explains the card down on the bottom. I love to use this for daily draws. I love to use this when I'm just needing a message from my guides, when I'm having a rough day, or I'm stuck on something, or I don't know what to do, or I'm just curious about, what my day will hold. I use this for a variety of different things. I've also used this in tarot readings with other tarot decks as like my energy for the day, or maybe like a clarifier or an extra message, or to just add depth to it. I love all of the animals in this deck. I love all of the ocean life, the aquatic life. I've always been drawn to the ocean. Like a little water baby, I could stay in the sea all day and be perfectly content just floating around in the waves. But I absolutely love this deck. It has brought me a lot of really great readings. It is an uplifting deck. This deck is encouraging to me, and because of that, I could never go without it. And that is the Whispers of the Ocean's Oracle. And that pretty much concludes my top 10 decks. So if I could only have 10 decks in my collection, those would be it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like down below for me. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out my channel. If you have any of these decks, or if they're in any of your top 10, please leave me a comment down below. I would love to know if anyone else shares my opinions about them. If you know anyone that would like this video, please don't hesitate to share it. And if you're not already, please subscribe to my channel and click the little notification bell down below so you'll be notified when I post new videos. As always, guys, it's been fun, and thanks for watching.